Hey Mustangs, welcome back to Real Talk, where we cover the hottest political topics of the week. I'm your host, Martha Mills. Let's get real.
It's about investing in infrastructure, not for the 20th century, but the 21st century. It's not just roads and bridges. We're investing in water systems so Americans can have clean water infrastructure. We're investing in high-speed rail infrastructure. We're building charging stations to support America's electric vehicle future, and investing in that infrastructure.
President Biden meets with lawmakers of both parties to work to pass his infrastructure bill, as Republicans call for a bipartisan approach. The president and vice president met with 4 Republican and 4 Democratic lawmakers with histories in infrastructure in an attempt to make the bill less partisan. Biden says he is willing to negotiate, as both Republicans and Democrats have acknowledged a need to improve infrastructure. The main point of disagreement over the bill is the definition of infrastructure and its scope. Only time will tell if these two parties can work together to pass the bill. A Texas House bill on elections passes in committee and now moves to the full House. Many states are passing new and controversial elections-related bills. In Texas, those bills are Senate Bill 7 and House Bill 6. Senate Bill 7 expands the rights of poll watchers and standardizes state voting hours. House Bill 6 increases penalties for vote harvesting and requires those assisting voters at the polls to register and take an oath. Voting rights groups and Democrats have come out against these bills, saying they're restricting voting rights and target minorities, while Republicans argue the bills only support election integrity. The Supreme Court blocks another California COVID-19 restriction on religious services in a 5-4 vote. State officials argue that the limits imposed did not infringe on religious rights and that they were to be lifted within days. The order prohibited gatherings of people from more than 3 households, affecting certain religious and prayer meetings. The majority argued that by allowing hair salons, retail stores, etc. to operate, but not home prayer groups, the order infringed on rights to practice religion. The minority countered that because the order also banned secular gatherings of more than 3 households, it was not infringing on religious rights. President Biden decides to bring troops in Afghanistan home by September 11th, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. The decision has sparked divisions not only between parties, but within them. While most Republicans criticized the decision as premature, others celebrated the return of American troops. And while most Democrats supported the decision, some expressed concern over Taliban returning to power and reducing rights. This withdrawal is something both President Trump and President Obama tried to do before ultimately backing out due to security concerns. If successful, Biden will end the longest war in U.S. history. A Tennessee abortion case stands before the Supreme Court, now with a conservative majority. The state asks the court on an emergency basis to reinstate a waiting period law for abortions. The law requires a woman seeking an abortion to wait 48 hours and to receive information beforehand from the attending physician. Opposition calls the law another attempt to restrict a woman's right to abortion. Supreme Court justices now must decide whether to reinstate the law or to wait for the appeals process to play out. Let's take a break from politics now and get the latest news from the Hilltop.
Hey Mustangs, I'm Hannah Jones, bringing you current issues in the news this Wednesday. A Burleson police officer is in stable condition after being shot early Wednesday morning. The officer approached a vehicle around 4 o'clock Wednesday morning when he was shot multiple times. The 3 suspects then drove away and are still on the loose. Burleson police say his body armor is what saved the officer's life. They're asking anyone who may have information on the shooting to call 911. A former Minnesota police officer is now being charged with second-degree manslaughter after killing a black motorist. 20-year-old Dante Wright was originally pulled over for an expired car registration. Officers then realized there was an arrest warrant out for Wright. The man tried to get into his vehicle when he was shot by former police officer Kim Porter. Porter allegedly thought she had pulled out her taser to tase Wright, but instead it was her gun. The fatal shooting is causing days of protests in and around the Minneapolis area. If Porter is found guilty, she could face up to 10 years in prison. It is now the defense turn in the trial of a former Minnesota police officer charged with murdering George Floyd. Lawyers for Derek Chauvin are trying to convince the jury that Floyd's cause of death was related to his heart rhythm. Dr. David Fowler, who is a former chief medical examiner, says the fentanyl and methamphetamine in Floyd's systems and possible carbon monoxide poisoning from the car's exhaust were contributing factors. The prosecution still believes Floyd's death was due to Chauvin pressing his knee into Floyd's neck, leading to a loss of oxygen. 82-year-old Bernie Madoff dies in prison. Madoff was serving an 150-year prison term for running one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in history. In 2008, Madoff's business was labeled a Ponzi scheme that ruined charities and hundreds of people's fortunes. An anonymous source says that he died of natural causes. A suspect is behind bars in connection with the disappearance of a California college student back in 1996. 19-year-old Kristen Smart vanished from her Cal Poly campus nearly 25 years ago. Paul Flores was the last person to be seen with her before she disappeared and became the prime suspect of the crime. Investigators turned up new evidence linked to Smart's killing last month, leading up to the arrests of Flores and his father. Smart's body has yet to be recovered. The San Luis Obispo County Sheriff says the case will not be closed until her body is found. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is not being offered at the time. 6 women have reported blood clots after receiving the one-dose vaccine. Health experts say the conditions are not definitely linked to the vaccine, but they want to make sure the Johnson & Johnson shot is safe. Officials advise those who have received the J&J vaccine to contact their doctors if they are having shortness of breath or leg pain. The distribution of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine will continue as normal. That's the current issues in the news this week. I'm Hannah Jones.
Thanks, Hannah. National and state elections aren't the only way to get involved in politics. The SMU Student Senate is holding elections for next year's campus leaders. SMU-TV's Kennedy Hayes has the details.
SMU Senate elections are not over. Here's what you need to know. There are currently 2 runoffs, one for student body vice president between Wade Glover and Alex Fashnight, the other for student body secretary between Sydney Page and Nina Del Pozo. SMU Senate is encouraging all students to vote as soon as possible on Connect.SMU. Polls close at noon on Thursday, and the winner will be announced at 3 p.m. through social media Thursday. You can visit at SMU Senate on Instagram for the latest updates. For SMU TV, I'm Kennedy Hayes.
Thanks, Kennedy. Looking ahead, mark your calendars. President Biden is set to address a joint session of Congress for the first time on April 28th. The president was formally invited to speak by the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. The address occurs 98 days into Biden's presidency. Well, that's all we have for you, Mustangs. Remember, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/SMU Television and follow us on Twitter at SMU-TV. If you have any story ideas, shoot us an email, smutv@smu.edu. Thanks for watching Real Talk this Wednesday. Tune in next week for more political chit-chat and news from the Hilltop. Until then, have a great day, keep it real, and pony up.
SMU-TV and the Division of Journalism want to thank our underwriters, North Park Center in Dallas, Javier's Gourmet Mexicano on Cole Avenue, and Advance ER off West Lovers Lane. We appreciate your support of student media.